Software.
Welcome everybody to a small tutorial series for the basics of MCG StarCraft version 2.0. This tutorial is for players. For admin tutorial, please visit the other video on the same channel. As well, let's give it a start, shall we? First off, there is an important change in the version 2 of StarCraft. This is the change. Normally, you would either get the book automatically every time you join, which was a case of annoyance by some people, because if they cleaned their inventory out and they rejoined, they got the book again, and eventually they got like 20 books. That's not as I intended it to be. So, the server owner can now turn off giving. The recipe is always findable in the crafting menu, by the way. If you go into the crafting table, if the admin has turned it on, it will automatically showcase inside this menu. For example, here you can see the recipes for the different items in-game. They are categorized by type. So eventually, when you see the upgrades, for example, here, these are all the upgrades there are. It looks a little bit weird, because Minecraft doesn't support names in prefixes and previews, but basically these are the recipes. So if you have the item, you can make it. But most of the time, those recipes are also findable on the website itself, the docs.mcgsoft.eu. There are also recipes, and the best thing there is the recipe book, and that's where I have an important change. First off, I've added signs in the GUI. So in this case, you will see here what needs to be entered on the sign. Space refinery or space oxygen, depending on what you are doing. I fixed up some of the building grids, because I got a report from some users stating that there were some mistakes. I fixed them. These are crafting recipes, and you can click them and visit exactly how they are gonna be. So instead of looking at the Minecraft crafting, this is a guide to get it directly done. I disabled my shader pack, so it looks a little bit flat, but at least this is exactly how the recipe, for example, for plates are. This recipe book is a pain in the by many people. Because they keep on stacking, or they need to enter a command which they are not allowed to by the server administrator. So I added a forced recipes, as it's called. 2 paper with a normal book in the middle, 2 iron blocks, emerald in the middle, and the bottom is gold. And if you combine that, you will get the StarCraft guide. This guide can be crafted always and cannot be turned off by the server administrator. I did this on purpose. The reason for this one is that I get so many complaints because server admins just disable the recipes and basically disable the way that they get the books. But they also do not provide an easy way to learn how to work out MCG StarCraft. And I think that's against the rules, because you're misleading the players on the server or are not giving them enough information to work with. So if you have a server owner and you have this server, this is the new recipe that works for everyone that runs this plugin. This recipe, by the way, cannot be adjusted by anyone. It just gives a recipe book no matter what. If there is so much complaint about it later on, please let me know. But I don't think it's a problem that a recipe is added to the system. Well, let's start by the normal crafting recipes. Well, many recipes are already on the website and such, but to be quick, empty tanks can be put in here. I believe that was something like this. Empty. Oh, wait, the other way around. I keep forgetting all those names. That's why for admins it's listed on the docs page. And soon enough I will add another GUI that gives items, by the way. Anyways, these are empty air canisters. You can see there's nothing in here. You can put them in this machine and then click on the sign Oh, whoops. I destroyed this. I always mess up with recordings. Anyways, you put those in. Standalone, do not stack them. And then when you click them, it's nice thing and it makes air canisters, 9. So if I make 9 of those canisters, put them in, 9 filled canisters comes out. These can be used in your suit to fill your suit up with air. Without air, you will suffocate in worlds that do not have air. As simple as it is. The space refinery works basically using chorus fruit. You put in chorus fruit a certain amount. And as you can see, I have not enough, but you can see that the animation will showcase how much is in there. You can fill it up a little bit more and more until you have enough. Like this. Now I certainly have enough. And when you click it, you get a fuel canister. This fuel canister is basically the one that the spaceship used to launch. But it is also used in your suit if you have the jetpack upgrade installed. These ones do not stack, by the way, because it's an old version versus new version. Ignore that. If I do it again and again, you will see what I mean. There we go. 1, 2, and if I'm correct, these should stack. See? That's because I updated my plugin. Keep in mind, I did a lot of changes in the recipe system because many people keep complaining that they do not stack again and that they do not have lore and those things. One thing is very important in this game, and that's that Minecraft has its own way of doing things in memory. In my case, I tag them with a certain name so that the server can now find them. If this solution doesn't work, then I need to rework how the recipes are stored in it, but normally they work. Good. Now we have fuel, and we had air, but by my mistake I threw it away. There we go. If you have a spacesuit, and many people request me how they do it, place down a rod and right click it when holding the when having the suit on, by the way. The spacesuit can be crafted as well. And it should fill up the air tank in your suit. And the fuel tank if you use a fuel canister on it. The fuel tank and air tank can be filled until they are full. Anything you try to fill up above it, it will prevent you from filling. Or if disasters is online, you can even blow up your suit. The disasters that are in this plugin are 3 types of disasters for players to encounter if they are enabled, like they are in default. The first one is with the rocket. If you try to launch, there is a certain small chance that your rocket will explode on the bottom part. Then this whole area will explode and possibly kill you in the process. This is a minor chance, and the server owner can change the chances that there are with the rocket. There is a plan to give new types of rockets with different chances for every rocket type. There is, but that's something for a future update and not yet in here. The second disaster is a meteorite storm, which is not enabled on this world. It's by default enabled on a world called Rocky. And when the meteor strikes, run. The only thing I can say is run. If you get hit, it hurts. It hurts pretty much. And the third disaster is your suit exploding. If you fill it too much. For example, you try to keep on putting air in it, and the tank is full, and when you click, and there is a certain chance that you blow up your suit. Good. Now that's out of the way. The next thing is building these buildings. Well, the platform is pretty easy to make and is nothing more than a square of lapis blocks with a cross of gold and lapis in the middle. Lapis around, basically. It's all the way gold, even in the middle of the plate, and then the rocket on top. The next update will include a package that builds a rocket, and I will make a tutorial video on that one. But for now, you can look at the design. And this is a whole one. Basically, it's the redstone bottom that marks your start. Some of these rods to fill up your suit, or just for decoration. It's there. It needs to be there. The chest cannot be entered unless you remove the sand from above it. Then you can put the fuel in, 1 for each slot, and put the sand back. You can build anything around it, above it, outside, as you wish. So you can make ladders, for example, on it. if you want to. It doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter is that when you build up, this is because of I copying it, stupid me. If you stand here and press the button, make sure you look at the button. When you're standing front, it doesn't work now because there is no fuel in here. I can put some fuel in here if I want to. Let me see. Do I have a rocket with fuel in here? Yeah, this one. If you have a rocket and you press the button, it can be placed there, but most of the time it needs to be there. It needs to be on the wall. And when you click on it, when looking at it, it should work. But I have adjusted, oh yeah, this is the one without the glass here. That's what happens. If you miss something or made a building wrongly, then it will say that the rocket is not correctly built. Anyways, when it's fully built and you click it, you get the menu showcasing all the worlds around you in this galaxy. You can see the fuel cost, how much fuel cells it costs, where you are at the moment, and what the levels are for radiation and temperature. Keep in mind, if you go to a world called Radiated, for example, and the radiation level 4, temperature level 4, your suit needs to be upgraded to max for radiation and temperature, otherwise you will die there. Because you will burn and you will get nausea and get damage due to radiation. That's basically the most easy way to go is space. It's a hard environment to move around in, so I recommend using the jetpack upgrade. But even without, you can make your way there. Organic, Gemma, and Aquatic, and then we have the Rocky. Rocky is mostly an asteroid. It has radiation, but no temperature because it's in space. That's where the meteorite storms come. And the server owner can add as many worlds as they want to. For as many worlds as they want to, they can add as many, they can import as many, and they can design as many. That's something new that's explained in the admin tutorial. Anyways, you can always click on this button and change the name to the other galaxy name. The server owner needs to provide those names because I cannot provide them beforehand. I never know what they are going to take. And when you enter it, you get a new GUI showcasing the worlds in that galaxy. Note, they will cost a little bit more fuel because there is a multiplier that can be set by the admin to increase the fuel consumption if you go from galaxy to galaxy. But basically it calculates the amount of fuel depending on the distance from planet to planet. When you launch to another world, for example space, a pod is generated. This pod is basically a small iron and glass structure, refunding a little bit of the iron blocks you put into here. And provides you with a little bit of protection against mobs if you land. There is a chance that you will land on a place where it's dark and where mobs are spawning. And this thing is protecting you from getting killed directly after spawning there. There's one final note that I want to add for those who are playing, is that, as simple as I can say it, never travel without the materials for a return rocket. And enough food. And protection. If you travel to another world and you are there and you want to stay there, make your way and make sure you have enough to return to the normal planet in order to survive. Many times servers do not have teleportation abilities or a home commands or anything like it, and then you're on the planet and when you die you lose everything with you. Keep in mind, I cannot do anything about it because that's not my server that they are running on. Anyways, while we are here, there are some POIs, as I call them. Basically, they are buildings and such you find on different planets, and they most of the time have loot in them. For example, this is one that you can find on Radiated, this example, and this has a chest with loot in it. The loot is generated automatically and randomized, and that's something that you can explore and scavenge for resources. The server owner can set their own loot into it, which is randomly chosen or configured to have certain loot. So, that's a lot to take in. So let's quickly go over the recipes just to be sure that everybody understands how it works. There are 3 minerals in this world that can be found by mining, which is if you mine coral, you can find silicon cells, iron can result into titanite, and gold can result into conduit crystals. This is not a 100% chance, by the way. And per world resources are enabled, so the server owner can decide which world has which resources, or provide them all to all worlds. It's just depending on how he configures it. The spacesuit is made using the plates, which is crafted like this. It makes the titanium plates, and that they can be used to make the suit like so. You can pause the video if you want to see the recipes in full. There are some recipe upgrades. These are fuel tank kit. This is the first kit you need if you want to fly in space. Fly mode is only possible in all worlds by default, and can be filled up with fuel in order to fly around. It's pretty expensive to fly around on every world, so keep it in mind that only use it when you need it to. Anyways, this is the base recipe. Then you have the tank kit 2, and it requires kit 1 in order to be crafted. Same thing for the kit 3, and same thing for the other kits. Kit 3 needs to be used for kit 4. This is for temperature protection. This is where you need thermal glue. Many people ask me how you make it. It's as simple as melting. Yeah, it's really true. Melting magma cream and you get thermal glue. Basically, it's glue that sticks even at hot temperatures. That's why this is all hot. And yeah, well, basically pause the video if you want to see the complete recipe. Then you have the radiation kits, which protect against radiation. These use silicon cells. So keep in mind that you need to find silicon cells before you can do it. Once again, you need the radiation kits in order to go up. But radiation kits are a little bit more expensive. So you need 2 radiation kits for level 3 one. And then you have radiation kit 3 here with some pretty expensive blocks in here, like all top tier upgrades. And then the oxygen one. This is tier 1 is basically already in your suit. This is basically upgrading the kits, basically. You need tier 1, which is already in the suit, and you can upgrade it directly in order to get the better tanks in your suit. It basically increases your oxygen tank size, so you can stay longer in an area without air. So those are the recipes that we need to look at. There's one final thing in this quick and short basic tutorial, and that's dungeons. By default, this dungeon is included. These are all separate places and different designs that are in the worlds. So let's go to one. If I'm correct, there should be one around here. It's always a little bit looking around because they are not everywhere. They are quite common though. Where is one? I should have prepared one. Ah, there is one. In the lava. Anyways, the dungeons normally make a tube going to the top. This is the tube that I'm talking about. It contains ladders that goes down, normally on both sides, until it reaches the dungeon itself, and then it will transfer to whatever stairs is in the dungeon design. By default, this is the main dungeon design that I've added. It contains loot chests everywhere in this dungeon, and it's basically a maze of different things. I'm not going to spoil too much of these dungeons because there are many places to get to. But basically, these dungeons can be huge, but they can also be quite small. They can be safe, but they can also be very, very dangerous. So keep in mind when wandering through a dungeon that you can be killed if you do not look out. And there is a chance in certain worlds that slimes spawn here. So it's an easy way to get slimes. Nice one, isn't it? So as you can see, this hallway goes through a very long time and there's a stair. So it's a pretty big dungeon to say the least. These dungeons go everywhere and the admin server owner can make more dungeon tiles or make their own dungeon teams. And possibly more will be provided by me as well in time, due to time. So keep in mind, these are ones to look out for. This one is in the middle of the lava, but there are many also generating inside the land itself. This is, by the way, planet radiated. It's a pretty harsh environment and deadly as well because there are wither roses everywhere. There's one last thing I want to make note of for everyone to note. Other planets than the default world have different ore type generator. That means that other ores will generate in many worlds, but they depend on the biomes set. So keep in mind that if you have a certain world that you want to go to, that you bring enough base materials with you in order to craft more or stay in. Because mining in these types of worlds is not the same as on the normal planet, because every world has its own properties for ore generation. So for example, this world is a little bit more emerald and a little bit less iron, I believe. I'm not sure, so do not keep me on it. Oh, the edge of the world. I said the edge of the world, by the way. So that's basically the tutorial for the players. So if you want to know more and learn more, take a look at the docs.mcgsoft.eu website. And I will see you all in the next one. Good luck!